Okay, girls, here is a quick review of integer operations. I know you guys spent a lot of time on this last year, so we just want to get the cobwebs out and make sure we remember how to do these kinds of problems. So we're going to start off with addition. There are two basic rules when you're adding with integers. Remember, integers are whole numbers that are either positive or negative. So with addition, when the signs are the same, we just add up the numbers and we keep the sign. When the signs are different, that means we're going to subtract the numbers, and by subtract, right, it's always going to be the big one minus the small one, and then we will use the sign of the larger number in our answer, for the final answer. So let's take a look at our examples. First one, -4 plus -12. Well, that's rule number one, right? Signs are the same, so we add up 4 plus 12, which is 16, and then we keep the sign of the two numbers that we just added, and we're done. Next one, -5 plus -5. Again, that's rule number one. So we add up 5 plus 5, which is 10, and they're both negative, so there we go. You guys have been doing positive plus positive forever, right? That's just 9. We never really thought of it as being a positive, but that's what it is, right? Positive plus positive gives you negative. Positive plus positive gives you positive, and negative plus negative gives you negative. Okay, look at the next line. Now we've got different signs, don't we? So this is rule number 2. So -3 plus 2 means I'm going to subtract the two numbers, right? Which 3 minus 2 is 1, and I'm going to use the sign of the larger. So 3 is bigger than 2 and it's negative, so my answer is -1. Next one, 7 plus -4, my signs are different, so I find the difference of 7 and 4, and the larger number 7 is positive, so my answer is +3. Next, -8 plus 8. Well, the signs are different, right? So 8 minus 8 is 0, and I use the sign of the larger. Well, they're both the same, but remember, 0 is neither positive nor negative, so my answer is 0. And this brings me to my next statement. Anytime you are adding numbers that are opposites of each other, it's always going to equal 0. So -8 plus 8, 0. -3 plus 3, 0. Any number plus its opposite will give you 0. Okay, so there are addition rules. What if you have more than two numbers that you're adding? Well, we can move left to right. Addition is commutative, so if you want, you can add them in different order. That's fine. So like on the first one, if I want to just add left to right, I would say -5 plus 4. Well, signs are different, so I find the difference, use the sign of the larger number, and then to that, I'm going to add -3. Well, now my signs are the same, right? So I add them up, and I keep the sign. Another way to have done that problem is we could have added the two negative numbers first. -5 plus -3, signs are the same, so I add them up and keep the sign, and then I add the 4. Well, now my signs are different, so I'd find the difference, and I'd use the sign of the larger, and I'd get my answer that way. Either way works. Look at number 2. So if I just add left to right, 10 plus -7, signs are different, so I find the difference, use the sign of the larger number, which is positive, and then plus 5, and that's just 8. Now, if I wanted to, I could have added 10 plus 5, which is 15, and then plus a -7, right? Now the signs are different, so I find their difference, and I use the sign of the larger. I could have done this first, right? It doesn't matter because it's all addition, okay? But that's how you do it when you have more than two. All right, time for some subtraction. So, subtraction with positive and negative numbers, girls, means that we have to rethink subtraction as the opposite, adding the opposite of the number being subtracted. So we're going to think of subtraction in terms of addition. That's the big thing that you learned last year when you first learned about this business of adding positives and negatives. So, subtraction is the same as adding the opposite of the number that's being taken away or subtracted. And I think Miss Betta's probably used the whole boom boom, right, where we change the subtraction sign to addition and then we change the sign of that number that follows the subtraction sign. And once you've set it up or turned it into an addition problem, now we just follow those two addition rules, right? So let's take a look. 5 minus 8. Okay, well, I'm going to think of this as 5 plus the opposite of 8, or boom, boom, right? 5 plus negative 8. Now my signs are different, and I'm adding, so I find the difference, and I use the sign of the larger. Next one, negative 3 minus 2 is like negative 3 plus the opposite of 2, so plus negative 2. So boom, boom, add the opposite. Now my signs are the same. Add them up, keep the sign, done. Next one, negative 7 minus negative 7. Well, add the opposite, boom, boom. So now it's negative 7 plus positive 7. And remember we said anytime you add the opposite of a number to itself, right, you get 0. Negative 7 is the opposite of 7, so I know my answer is 0. 14 minus 9, you've been doing that forever. You don't need to boom boom this, right? You know 14 minus 9 is 5. Now, you can boom boom it, but you're still going to end up subtracting 14 minus 9, right? So if you really don't have to boom boom, don't. Next one, minus a negative, boom, boom, means we're going to add a positive. Signs are different, so we're going to find the difference, use the sign of the larger. Next one, we've got more than two numbers, right? So with subtraction, you can't move around. You have to go left to right. It's not like addition. It's not commutative, so I have to move in the order that the numbers are given. So 4 minus 3 is 1 minus 10. Now, boom, boom, right? And so 1 plus negative 10, find the difference, use the sign of the larger, and there's your answer. All right, multiplication and division. The nice thing about multiplying and dividing, girls, is that we use the same rules for both, okay? And it's two basic rules. One, you multiply two numbers, signs are the same, it's going to come out positive. You divide two numbers, and their signs are the same, it's going to come out positive. You multiply or divide, and the signs are different, it's a negative. That's it. So let's take a look at our examples down below. First one, negative 4 times 3, signs are different. I know that's going to be a negative, and so I just multiply, and I'm done. Next one, negative times negative, I know it's coming out positive, so there I go. Now, the next one, look how I expressed multiplication. A number that's in front of a set of parentheses with no operation sign between them means I'm multiplying. The signs are different, so I know it's going to be a negative 40. So we can write multiplication in either way, using the dot or using the parentheses method. All right, division, signs are different, so I just divide, and it's a negative. Now, remember, this is how we show division in algebra, so that means negative 18 divided by 3, so that's going to give me a negative 6, right? This number out in front, there's one negative, so that's a negative divided by a positive, okay? Now look at the next one. You've got a negative divided by a negative, so the signs are the same. I know that's going to be positive, so you got to watch those negative signs, right? Okay, in the last row, this is where we're multiplying by more than two numbers, so we gotta worry about signage always. And there's a nice little rule to follow when you're multiplying with more than two numbers, and that is this. Look at the numbers you're multiplying and count up the number of negative numbers there are. So if there's an odd amount of negatives that you're multiplying together, then you know your answer is going to be negative, right? An odd number of negatives, right, when you're multiplying will give you a negative number. If there's an even number of negatives, then you're going to get a positive answer. So let's take a look at that. On the first one, I've got a negative and two positives. That's an odd amount of negative numbers that I'm multiplying, right? So I know my answer is going to be a negative, and then I just multiply. Multiplication is commutative. I can multiply those numbers in any order I want. 2 times 4 is 8, times 3 is 24, and there is my answer. I look at the next one. There's a negative and there's a negative. There are two negatives in that problem. That's an even amount of negative numbers, so I know my answer is positive. So now I just multiply together and I get the answer of 10. On the next one, there's 1, 2, 3 negative numbers being multiplied. So an odd number of negatives means my answer is going to be a negative, so then I just multiply. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 times 10, I just take 30 and add a 0 on the back, and I'm done. So that's a very handy rule to keep in mind. So there's a review of your integer operations, and actually these rules apply to non-integers like fractions and decimals. Really it's just about multiplying with positives and negatives and the rules that we have to follow. So I hope that's been a good refresher. It's going to help you get your homework done, and if you have any questions, you just let me know. Drop a question in the discussion box on the math page or email me. See you next time.